It's not illegal to be naked.
Oh my God, that was so loud. Yeah, look, okay. This is better.
Like Hiroshima or Nagasaki, I'm about to drop a bomb. I'm likely to do some crazy shit like come up inside my mom.
Ew.
I don't give a fuck if the chick was my own mother. I still fuck her with no rubber. Hey, and welcome back to the Beauty and the Freak podcast. I am male escort and chronic self-mutilator Eek the Freak. This is my co-host, the beautiful and talented Katie B.
Hello.
And this week we are joined by Mr. Carl Southern of Carl Southern Media, LLC.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't be holding this.
Carl, good to see you. It's been a long time, maybe a whole 2 days.
Maybe about 48
Hell
hours or
yeah.
less.
So the last thing we met and did together, that was pretty fun, huh?
That was, but hey, before we get started, I brought you guys some gifts. Yeah, I got some presents for you guys.
Oh no.
I did. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these out real here. Ed,
Yes.
you are the rising star of Bracket Ridges.
That is a fact. And that's
So I got you this so that way you and everybody else would remember
Star.
forever.
And can we I'll just zoom in on this probably in the shot right here. And this is and I'm actually going to, there's no need to have this on anymore. Thank you so much,
I was
Mr.
going to
Carl.
say, you're not going to wear it?
Yeah, of course I am. We'll set this here so I can shamelessly self-promote.
Hey.
These hats are available on iCityEntertainment.com. And
Including podcast merch.
Including podcast merch.
There is podcast merch now.
new podcast bucket hats.
Yes.
There it is.
And I'm feeling like a bedazzled superstar.
Love it.
There it is.
I love it. I love it.
Isn't she lovely? Okay.
And Kate, I know you're all
Oh,
about
no.
the beauty. I know you're all about the hairstyling and everything. So I got you a bag of hair.
Let's go.
Awesome.
You go.
Oh!
Thank you.
Do whatever you want
I
with it.
will add this to my collection
Yeah.
And
of
what
extension
species?
hair.
Unknown.
Unknown species.
Yeah, it's some sort of cryptid from the mountains.
I like
Where
this.
did you get this?
That is classified information. I'm not allowed to disclose.
Okay. We'll do a DNA test.
And please keep that forever.
I will.
And if you ever think
I
about
have a
throwing
whole
them-
closet of hair.
There you go.
Like, yeah, I'll just add to it for
Well,
sure.
so you'll never have hair like that, though.
Okay.
No,
That is
this-
very special hair.
Let me judge this here. Let me see. This is, I would say, Anglo-Saxon descent. Maybe.
What level?
What level of? Oh, this right here is probably a 3,
No.
a 2.
No.
Way lighter.
You're going the wrong way.
You think it's a 5?
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, yeah. So
Or like a 5'6", honestly.
if you've made it to this point, be sure to like this video right now because it helps us so much with the algorithm, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you do neither of those things, turn this off right now and close your computer or phone.
Go
All
ahead
right.
and get out of here.
Yeah, we hate you. Okay, yeah, Carl. So real quick, I'll just give you a little intro.
Yeah.
I've known Carl since I was probably 6 months old, and by 6 months old, I mean 6th grade.
Okay.
We were 6th
Right.
grade together. You were the first kid that ever got moved to the corner of the class to be away from everyone else because I think you were labeled a chronic disruption to the learning process.
Oh, yeah.
By Miss Selvage herself.
Miss Selvage.
Shout
Yeah.
out Miss Selvage.
I did not do well in that classroom environment.
She hated you. I mean, I don't know why, but in hindsight, she picked on you from step one.
Yeah.
We now know those type of people as ADHD.
Yes. Yeah,
For
just can't
sure.
keep it together.
Now, I'm almost certain I have ADHD, but I have ADHD so much that making a doctor's appointment to go get diagnosed,
Too much.
it's way too much.
Yeah, then you
It's way too much.
absolutely
Stay
do.
focused on it.
Yeah. It's
think about
that's
it.
overwhelming.
I think about it at least 3 times a month,
Yeah.
and they just never do it.
Yeah.
And if that isn't a diagnosis in and of itself, I don't know what else.
Yeah, and I filled
well,
out the
don't try
online
to
checklist.
try to smoke weed and
I
get
did.
diagnosed
I did
ADHD.
the online test, and it's like, yeah, you've got like a 95% probability. And then I was very confident. And here's the thing, though. I feel like if I don't want to go into the appointment with the like intention of being diagnosed with ADHD, because I feel like I'm going to be like perceived as someone who's just trying to get drugs.
Yeah, well, that's what they will look at you like. I just
Right.
did this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. Went in with saying, hey, my ADHD's crazy. Just got a new job. I need some help. They were like, we just need to get to the bottom of your anxiety.
Right.
What? You don't give
No,
me
no.
amphetamines, please.
No, bro, it took me 5 years to make this appointment. Like I swear to
Hey,
God.
Same, actually.
Yeah.
Same, actually.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, me and Carl, we have known each other for fucking almost goddamn ever. But then when I started doing music and shit, we just started slowly working more and more together. We've had a couple different things just really in some motion. He's done if you go to my YouTube, DaFreak/69, YouTube/DaFreak/69.
God, you should change that.
I was on CVN 69, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. You
I
mean I shouldn't
know.
respect my country? Okay.
I know, but
Support the
not
troops.
really.
Carl has done all those videos for free, and I would be here. There would be a whole podcast if I listed the things that Carl has done for me for free is the word, or less than free. It's probably cost him money to do the things that he has done for me. But through the process of doing that, it's like now from a year ago, where you're at and what you're doing, what you're responsible for is like.
Thank
and
you.
that's what we call real people.
Yeah.
Like, those are the real ones.
That is a fact.
Well, I mean, it started out with the Life in Games, right?
Yes.
Podcast that me and Cameron Ford, shout out Cameron Ford, love that man.
Shout out Cameron Ford.
And
OG Sinatra.
and we used your drug abuse. No,
Back on the Pills before it released. The first appearance of Back on the Pills on the internet was on Life and Games podcast.
Yeah, and we loved that song so much that we used it as our intro on the podcast. And then from there, I was just, trying to get into video. I started off with an iPhone. That was all I had. And a Yeti microphone.
Twisted Tea Genie. Don't forget this now.
Yeah.
You've never seen this, right?
No, I haven't.
I
wish I would have prepared.
Life
I
and
did
Games
not know.
podcast.
I did not know that this was a thing.
They had a
I'm
sick
learning.
green screen. Cam was just getting heavy into green screen editing.
Oh, okay.
My perception at the time was that Cam was leading the green screen editing process. It could have been different.
Well, so I was the DP, I guess, or whatever. I handled the setup, the lighting, the camera.
Penetrator.
It was
God.
It was my green screen, my camera, my lights.
Okay.
All of it was mine. I recorded and filmed it all, handled the audio, and then Cameron did the edit.
Okay. Yeah, and that video turned out to be so fucking cool. Like as a promo for a song to come out.
Yeah.
And we at no point mentioned the song, point the finger towards the song. We did nothing like that. And then from that video, I actually got a Twisted Tea sponsorship, and they sent me hella shit.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. I still have the shirt
So
and
that's how
the
it
merch.
started.
Yeah.
I was already addicted to Twisted Teas, and like my health was quickly deteriorating. But either Carl or Cameron, one collectively, they came up with an idea to do this skit called Twisted Tea Genie, where I found a Twisted Tea and rubbed it, or they did, and then I pop out, and this like the lower half of my body was a tornado, and the upper half was me with no shirt on and a camo Desert Storm tack vest with the Kevlar plates.
And you had
in
the
front
bucket
and back.
hat and the mustache.
Yes.
The OG bucket hat.
Oh my God. Okay. I
It's so
think
awesome.
myself and our viewers need to see this.
And they will right now.
What is that?
I don't want to sound mad, I feel marvelous.
You have awoken Twisted Tea Genie. I will grant you 3 wishes.
I want a PlayStation 5.
Say less.
Oh,
Sweet. Well, in that case, I want to be rich.
Put the money in the bag!
Whoa! What else should we wish for?
well, the only thing we really need is a guest on the show.
Well, twist my tea and call me Genie. I know just the guy. And that was the Twisted Tea Genie video. So yeah, after that was your first like delve into editing. And what got us to here? Because you guys will see the Kimber Dunn fight vlog the day before this comes out, and it's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I was doing Life in Games, and it was actually with you. You were there the moment, like the pivotal moment, right, where things started changing. I was working at a bank. I was a banker, right, doing video and audio part time. And one of our good friends, Corey Shields, hit me up.
Because he had seen the videos that
Because
you
he'd
had
seen the
done
videos.
for me.
Yeah, he saw the stuff that I had done for
free,
you.
by the way. This is one of those karma things, maybe.
Right. Well, it's
Good deeds.
It's not even expecting anything in return. It's just something cool that I wanted to do, and it was better than drinking beer and playing video games. Like you gotta have a hobby. It might as well be something great.
Something that will exist after you go to bed at night.
Right.
Which your Call of Duty kill death ratio is still there, but who gives
Something
a
that
fuck?
serves a purpose that is more than lighting up dopamine receptors, right?
Yes.
It's got to be something more. So he hits me up and says something along the lines of, what would it take for you to come on full time at this, company that I work
And
for?
this is as we're
Wow.
shooting another video. We're
And
together doing this.
I'm actually with Ed
Wow.
at the studio at Fat Boy Studios shooting a video. And he's hitting me up on Facebook. And I'm sitting here, never had an opportunity like this in my lifetime. Don't know what to say, don't know what to do. And so I basically told him, well, I'm got a pretty good job. I work at a bank, pretty stable.
This is what you had told me
Yeah.
at this time.
And I work, I have a certain amount of income. I've got responsibilities, a child, a wife. I've got a mortgage to pay for. So I've got things that I need to take care of. So I flat out told him, I wanted the opportunty.
I told you, too, that Corey's a straight shooter. If you
Yeah.
cannot work for him for less money, tell him that.
Yeah.
And that he will take that in and not be mad.
And that's what I said. I
And
said,
I thought he'd say fuck off, by the way. when he told me that.
I seriously, when I told him how much money I would need to quit my job and go work for them, I thought he would laugh me out of the fucking room.
I almost laughed when you told me.
Yeah. So I told him, and then he said, okay, let me see what I can make happen. And bro, when I tell you I almost fell out of my chair, I was
So
like,
what, see, you might come by Monday and we'll do an interview and see what they think?
yeah, they set up an interview. And I thought, okay, wow.
Yeah, pinch me.
Yeah.
Corey's a straight shooter like that, though.
That's awesome,
If he
though.
knows that something adds value, he will do
Yeah.
that.
He'll
And-
recognize that value.
Thank God for Corey for believing in me, because he honestly, there are certain people in my life that if they didn't believe in me, I would not be where I'm at tonight. I'm going to shout these people. Alex
Yeah.
Torkelson. Thank God for Alex Torkelson. He got me out of Murray County.
Great guy.
I graduated high school, spent 6 months after high school in Murray County. He needed a roommate down in Kennesaw, called me up, said, hey, I got you a job and a room. Come live with me. And if it wasn't for that, my life would be completely different.
You would have
Awesome.
maybe stayed on Fort Mountain forever.
I would have stayed on Fort Mountain, maybe got a girl pregnant at 19. There's no telling.
Yeah.
the
What would it-
typical route.
Yeah. There's no telling.
I preach this all the time about where we're from in our small town, and that you have to get out and you have to be, I call it being cultured.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what it is. You have, or I guess you don't have to, but if you want to do more, then the demographic of staying in that small town is you just get out for a little bit. Like you said,
Even though
6
it's the
months.
hardest place on earth here, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I
but
love it here.
I love it here too. But even 6 months,
I was gone from 20 to what I graduated in 2011. So from 2011 to 2018
Okay.
is when I was gone. Came back in 2018. So shout out to Alex Torkelson for believing in me, or for giving me the opportunity to get out
Thinking
of
that
it.
you could pay your rent.
Yeah.
You will
exactly.
not at least stay at home to the point that you can't pay rent. You would have,
Right.
you're a reliable person to come down here.
Right.
And,
And it was an amazing opportunity. I had some of my most phenomenal experiences while I was down there.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Came back. Shout out to Corey Shields for believing in me, seeing something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and giving me that opportunity. So, I went to work for this place. I started doing marketing full time.
their
video.
podcast.
I started producing a podcast. So yeah, shout out Alex Torkelson for believing me when he did. Shout out Corey Shields for seeing something in me that, I couldn't have seen in myself. And I was producing this podcast for them, doing videography and photography. So many jobs, marketing, social media marketing. So many jobs that I'd never done before.
Their social media went from not posting anything to posting content often that was well produced.
Yeah, I got so many compliments of how their social media presence just took off after that.
I started seeing them. I'd never seen them before on my timeline. You went to work there and it was ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Well, had
And
to
that's
do what I could
something
do.
that feels so good. Like
Yeah.
that feels so good to hear.
Yeah, it does. And I'm not a person who takes compliments super well. People sometimes think maybe I have a big head, but I really don't. It's so weird when somebody tries to tell me, tries to gas me up. My immediate reaction is to kind of come in my
I
shell.
feel that as well.
I know I'm so bad at it, and I catch myself doing it. I follow it up with yeah, well, thank you, but and then I want to give a flaw or
Yeah.
something to And I've told myself, like, quit doing that. Just learn how to take the compliment.
Because people, it's not what people want. They want you to take the compliment, and they want you to take it well.
Yes, and I'm so
when
bad
I
at it.
realized that, that's when I started getting better at taking compliments. Because if you give someone a compliment and they like deflect or whatever, it makes you feel like an idiot. Like, why did I say that?
And I deflect
And that's the last
so
thing
much.
you want to do to somebody who's going out of their way. No one that's ever given me a compliment was required to at all.
Yeah.
They literally could have just shut the fuck up, streamed my music, gave me the same amount of like monetary injection into my career by streaming my shit. They didn't
Or
have to
brought
talk
up
to me.
something old and
They didn't
have to
talk to
hate
me
on
at
you
all.
about.
Yeah.
And it's like they will tell me, "Oh, I really like this," and but I wipe back to front. And they're like, okay.
Right, because what it's like, and I've realized this, when somebody gives you a compliment and you're terrible at taking compliments, it's like they shot a basketball and it didn't go in the net.
Yes.
They want it to land,
Yes.
and you're not allowing it to land
That's
for
a
them.
good
And
analogy.
You're
it's
goaltending.
yeah,
It's illegal. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you still do.
yeah. So don't goaltend. Let their compliment land.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it is. So
Here's real quick. I don't want to
Go for it,
I
yeah.
don't want to slash you off here. What I feel like I've ran into a ton lately is the taking compliments has gotten a little harder in that there are people that I've known my whole life now who are not only giving compliments to me, I feel like, which thank you so much for anyone who's ever said anything nice, but it could just be a product of how I am. I feel like there is some future plan for self-gain by like nesting themselves close to me. It's like a projected trajectory that they see in me and they just want to be close to it. And that's probably true for 4% of the people who are nice to me ever. But because it has happened to me a few times where it's really like shown itself as super evident after that they were just there for like personal benefit, now I have my guard up so high to anybody that is nice to me. I just immediately think like, what do you want? Like, what do you think you'll get out of this?
can I crack that open?
Go ahead.
Can I crack that open? Yes, you're correct. There is going to be some people that are just there to ride on your coattails to victory. But at the same time, there are going to be people who are going to give you those compliments. And maybe they are in some way trying to nest themselves in you. But I don't think it's always for purely personal gain. It's because what we were talking about earlier, there's a meaning crisis in this country right now.
Oh, in the world.
In the world, and especially in places like ours, where you say it's Dalton, it's carpet, there's nothing happening here. And if they see someone that they believe in, that they respect, they will attach themselves to that person. And there may be a little bit of a hope that they can culturally be lifted up out of their cultural quagmire of being nowhere.
In
And they're like-
I was
irrelevant
going to
carpet
say,
city.
kind of
Yeah.
like they feel like it may be like their way to kind of like get out a little bit, even though it's not them getting out. It's like
They're vicarious.
watching,
Yeah. Hey, I gassed him up,
Right.
and now where I am at, we're known. And it's like a we thing, right? Because
Yes.
when people rep their city, and if you got to think about it, when somebody reps their city, they're thinking about their city, and the people that
and
support
everybody
them,
at home's like,
the people they're cheering them
Yes.
on. Why? Not just because they want to see them succeed, yes, but they also it's in for themselves. We did that. I helped, and now I'm here.
And I want people to feel that though, because
I know that gave me cold chills.
I'm
like
like,
it did.
literally.
Like,
I am, I'm a niche internet micro celebrity.
Nobody's
at best.
nobody without their followers,
Right.
without their fans, without the people cheering them
I am
on.
nobody without, and I'm not even going to say fans because I was in the military. I have people, thank the Lord, around the country through the military that listen to my music and spread my music. But that's not where my streams come from. It's not where my comments come from. That's not where anything that is the reason I am where I am now is from Chatsworth, Dalton, period. The people here have got, and I want them to feel pride if I do good. I want them to have that vicarious experience. But the thing is it's so easy to disguise yourself as that. But you can tell by how close they try to get. When people give the compliment and that's it, that's the end of the conversation, that feels fine and that's great and I'm appreciative and I want them to feel that. But it's when they start trying to, like, I think, get closer or get involved. And me and you have had this conversation several times, how we're from where we're from. People make carpet here. That is what, when you're little, like your parents, my parents.
That's the story that's told, at least.
My parents both worked in carpet. Their parents, literally both, worked in carpet. It is just what you do. If you don't go to college, and even if you do go to college, what do you come back and be a finance manager for Mohawk? You come back and be a HR manager for BOU before they got bought out by Shaw.
I will say
Engineer
mine
floors.
didn't, but no, neither one of them.
But the point of the story is,
But yeah, I know. I'm like, I have to throw that.
Yeah, but
in
9
there.
out of 10 listeners watching,
but
probably
yes.
both parents work
Yeah.
doing something carpet.
I mean, I
Well,
grew up
and
with a
I
carpet
would
household.
say probably mine didn't because neither one of my parents are from Chatsworth. So that, you know what I mean?
They
like
don't know how to tuft.
Like how had they been, one of them more than likely probably would have been in the carpet industry.
yeah.
But I mean,
if you grew
it's-
up here, I mean,
it's- yeah.
and,
it's
and I
from
want to
where
say that there is, make it absolutely clear, nothing
Oh no,
wrong.
and we've said
And I'm trying
that.
to do this too.
all.
We've said that previously because when he first started like saying this, every time he'd say it, I'd be like, "But that's fine."
Yeah.
and it is fine. It's just us talking about the culture of here.
Right. The culture. And I was talking to you. I'm going to quit saying this. I was talking to you about this the other day about the mantra that's been going in my head for the last couple of years. And it's 3 words: more than carpet.
Yes.
And in those 3 words, it recognizes that the textile and flooring industry is extremely important to this area of the world.
Oh,
we're in.
yes.
Extremely important. But
And there's
there
very
is-
successful people that
oh, yes.
or have come
And you can have
from that.
opportunities,
Yes,
and it's
yes,
fantastic. I've got
yes.
friends, just like you were raised in a carpet household, right? The people that raised me worked
Mm-hmm.
Shaw, Mohawk. It's phenomenal. But the problem with that is when you've got so many people that are as talented and artistic and have ambitions,
Mm-hmm.
you want to express themselves in an area that we have, it's crushing when they think that that's their destiny.
Mm-hmm.
The overarching theme is too that if like that is what you're aiming for, you're aiming to be the supervisor of a shift at Mohawk because you'll make $94,000 a year. Cost of living here is
Yeah,
incredibly
you'll
low.
be great.
You can
Yeah.
have the 2-story house with a basement. You can have the Tahoe and the Accord. Your kids can go to Christian Heritage. You can do the things you need to do, and shout out carpet for that.
Yes.
For real.
Because a lot of cities
real.
don't have that.
Yeah. No, we've got a
And we do.
fantastic industry.
But the problem is when somebody artistic or creative, they want to do something, but they think because I'm from Dalton or because I'm from Chatsworth, and there's no example of somebody from Dalton or Chatsworth outside of Jody Ridley and Ladd McConkey who have ever done anything different than this. That is, people think they're relegated to that because there is no precedent to be more than that.
or there's no culture to support it as well. I mean, you've got some things, but here's the thing about that. You've got things like the Creative Arts Guild and the theater. But those are pipelines to Chattanooga and Atlanta.
Yes, and they're not. That's not the real creatives of this area.
No.
You and I are around as many true creatives in this area.
Oh, I've talked about
Than
this
anybody.
lately. Like just the group that's
The
forming lately.
underground, the people who are really trying to express themselves and tell stories that are more than carpet. And I'm going to say that throughout this podcast.
When people see the vlog that you shot of us at Kimber's fight, I mean, that is something like if you were in a larger city and you contract, like we could have never afforded to pay anyone else to do the quality. We'll cut that. I'm not going to throw up.
Said someone who's probably about to throw up.
Really?
We're going to
Okay.
cut that. We're going to cut that. We're going to cut that. Yeah. The quality of not only the literal camera and audio detection, the mic that you have on there, but then just in post, all the editing, the jokes that are created of clips that were disconnected. Me talking to Kimber's dad.
Yeah. We'll see y'all out there in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
I think that went terrific. That went terrible.
Why? The amount of artists in this vlog.
Oh my God! Yeah, fucking
Either artist or slash like Kimber.
Amber,
Like,
T Sway, me, you.
yeah, Kimber. Like, yeah, him. Like the amount of people that are trying to do something outside of the realm, the typical culture that people think it's supposed to be in that one vlog is incredible.
Yeah.
And I've said it before. I'm like, how did I end up in this room? But I'm so happy and proud for whatever.
Well, look at where we're sitting, Kate.
Yes, but like
We're sitting at Tasker's Barber and Salon, 100 West Walnut Avenue, Suite
Yes.
114. 4,200 square feet of your space.
yeah, 45. But
45.
okay.
Hey,
But who's
It's
counting?
okay. Who's counting?
4,500.
But I'm like, that goes into a story of just everything happens for a reason. But it's incredible.
But
My
highlighting
my point of that is this group of individuals that for some reason have come together lately. I'm blown away by it, and I'm proud of everybody.
And I want to highlight it.
I do too.
You know,
I believe in it. I feel it.
you've done a bunch of shit for me for free, so I want to highlight it for that. But that's not the real reason. I mean, the real reason is we're from here. We're expected to do whatever. You know, we'll just get by. But that's not. Even though I'm not doing better than just getting by right now. But there is talent here that people would never suspect.
Right.
Oh, no.
And that's what we strive to bring attention to.
That's why we wanted to highlight Kimber so heavily, because who from here does that? There is another guy
And a female.
at that.
Like
Yeah.
a female.
And then me and Carl had this long conversation. It was just a me and him conversation, but he was telling me that basically he was interested in doing this for the same reason, essentially, that I was. It's pouring energy back into here to show people that just because you're from here, you don't have to be just carpet. You can be more than that.
More than carpet.
Yes.
More than carpet, more than carpet, more than carpet. I want to say that
Hashtag.
over and over
Yep.
again, because I know some people in this community have their slogans. Hilton Tire has their Dalton versus everybody
Trademarked. Shout out.
I love Hilton Tire. I get my oil changes there all the time, but I don't think that is the inspiration that we need, honestly. And Colt, Will, if you're
Tell
listening to
your
this,
truth.
Colt, Will, if you're listening to this is not a knock on you guys.
He's not.
He might.
He might.
But especially after that vlog where you were wearing that Hilton Tire t-shirt, and the amount of times that Hilton Tire logo showed up on that vlog, you better watch this.
The amount
Colt.
of times it shows up on our podcast.
Yeah.
You would think they'd be paying us.
You better watch it.
Pay us.
But the whole Dalton versus everybody, it's great. It's scrappy, and it shows the world that we're about it, and I love
we
it.
can contend with everybody.
I love it, but I don't think it completely encaptures everything, because there's the spirit, and it's the more than carpet is specific.
Yes.
It's specific, and it captures a specific feeling that people who walked the halls of Murray County High School, right, and dreamed of being somebody, and that those people who didn't move and leave and say goodbye to this town, who are still here, and that quiet desperation of wanting to be somebody,
Quiet desperation.
of more than just carpet, and they know that
But
it's in them quietly. The next generation of kids who are in high school right now need to know that they can be more than carpet.
Yeah. Well, there was two kids from North Murray High School that finished second in a nationwide video editing contest, whatever. I saw it in the Daily Citizen the other day.
2 North Murray High School students won a national award for their digital cinema work. You're looking at Bradley Flood and Daniel Skojak, 3rd place in the nation in the Skills USA digital cinema production.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet added them both on Facebook to get them to come produce this podcast for us. I figure their job offer list is probably pretty hefty right now.
Yeah, there's a were they with? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
I've not heard about this.
There's a video production company out of Dalton that's been doing some things. They produced Dalton, a story of survival.
Really?
Yeah, I love that
narrative tale.
Yeah, I love that film. But it was focused on carpet.
Well, these two kids are 17.
Yeah, it's high school
Well,
people.
I'm like, I don't know. I have not seen the film, but I'm like, the carpet. No, I'm not even going to say that because I could be wrong. Never mind. I was going to say, I mean, years and years ago, carpet is kind of what made this town.
It is. Barwick Mills was the first big carpet
it
thing
made
to come
this
here
town what
in,
it
I think
is.
1958.
Well, there was the lady who she got as a wedding gift some sort of textile machine. And from there, that was the beginning. If you want the absolute correct information, watch Dalton, A Story of Survival. I believe it's on Amazon.
We're going to put the link right here.
Yeah.
Or
And then in the description.
the link will be in the description, but what you're looking for will be right here.
It'll have the details. But yeah, I mean, that's the vibe that I'm trying to get. And there's another element that that I want to touch on in the way I create the media. And it has something to do with the overall tone of media and the narratives that our society is engaging in right now. And it's something to combat the postmodern nihilistic cynical take that a lot of our media has these days.
Yes, Jordan B. Peterson.
Which I don't know. I've never seen Jordan Peterson talk about this exactly.
Postmodernist is the phrase.
Well,
that
he is
links me.
anti-postmodernist.
Same.
But his prescription, I don't believe, fits exactly with what
Okay,
I'm about to
gonna
describe.
pause you.
Yeah.
Don't lose your train of thought. Definition postmod or whatever.
So
you
sure,
say.
okay. So to understand postmodernism, we want to talk
Okay.
about modernism and traditionalism. So there's a lot of ways to define this. You could define these isms as a period of history in historical context. You could define them as a way to organize society.
Okay.
And you could define them as a philosophy.
Power.
You could
The
also
main point.
sort of, yeah.
In
you
postmodernism.
Postmodernism power. We're going to
Okay.
get to that. We're going to get to that.
Okay.
But the traditionalism, modernism, postmodernism, and then something that I'll talk about afterwards. So you can either view it as historical, philosophical, a way to organize society, and you can view them as a story, a progression that's unfolding. So traditionalism is your feudalism. You've got your kings and your queens, your lords and your landlords, your peasants and your serfs.
This isn't spoken, though. This is an underlying context of
it's
society that we all just assume by being born and living in the society we're in.
Right.
Okay.
So, and it's 1700s and before, or maybe 1500s. It's before that sort of area where you've got your kings and your lords. Your identity is based on your religion. There's a grand narrative of you are either a peasant, and that's your role in society. You're a lord, and that's
Or like
your
the
role in
family that
society.
you were born
Right.
into.
Yeah, there's the caste system, right? That's traditional, and it's all religious or structured in that sort of a way.
Okay.
Then we move from that into modernism, which was the Enlightenment period. A very big focus on individualism, Enlightenment values. Think the French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity. Think the American liberty, equality, pursuit of happiness, hyper-individualism.
The time period where God bled to death under the knives of our microscopes.
Right. Or yes, exactly. God was scrutinized to death, and
We killed him.
the traditional values were questioned. Right. We were questioning the traditional religious values and the feudal system, which some things were great. We should have gotten rid of the feudal system. Get rid of it. There was some baby thrown out with the bathwater, but it generally led to a higher standard of living
For the average.
the
The
Right.
baseline human experience.
Right. And so that's modernism. Hyper individuals, the not glorification, but the exaltation or the recognition of the individual.
Personal ownership was
Personal
a big thing
ownership.
that the United States
Exactly.
implemented towards modernism, which before this, typically you have a king that owns everything,
Mm-hmm.
and you are cultivating the land that all profits belong back up.
Right.
America was the first place to ever say, this is yours, everything about it is yours, and you can have this.
And then there's
Okay.
the American dream in modernism, right? That's where you can have yours and your own.
Life,
Get
liberty, and
yours.
property.
Life, liberty, property, or pursuit of happiness
Yeah,
in the
now
later
Thomas
pursuit
times.
of,
Jefferson would say.
now
Not-
pursuit of happiness.
Not as John Locke would say it.
Not as John Locke would say, but you pointed to Otto von Bismarck right there.
And yeah, and he would just say iron and blood.
Iron and blood. Yeah. So but the problem and modernism is defined by this audacious optimism.
Westward
of-
expansion. Manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny, right? Columbia all the way to the west, right? And it was audacious. It was naive. We were going to get there. And everything seemed possible because in the modern period, we had vaccines created. We had the telephone. We had electricity.
We're still looking
we
at
had-
divine right, too. Like when
Yeah.
we look at westward expansion.
Yeah. There's a little bit of
Manifest
traditionalism in
destiny
there. Yeah.
was that God wanted us to get to the West Coast.
Right, and they did incorporate some of that traditionalism. But the problem with that was made manifest in the 60s when you had the civil rights movement, when Martin Luther King said America has issued a check that has been returned insufficient funds for the Negro, which that's when postmodernism started coming in, where the critiques of modernism, the audacious, the just thinking that anything was possible, but to sound like a woke bastard right now, everything was possible for a straight white man.
Yeah, and that they were the ruling class, and that was being propagated to us to maintain their power. That's the key tenet, I think, of modernism, is that the entire system was orchestrated and pushed downwards so that power could be maintained at the top, which is not an incorrect critique, but it is not the full truth either.
The problem with postmodernism evolves into this, and it's needed. And I'm going to get in hot water with this with our Southern crowd. Same, just like Marxism was required, because whenever you have a system that isn't functioning, you need a critique. So Marxism hit it on the head with the critique. Now,
Nailed it.
The prescription is not the right way, right? The prescription was wrong, but the
His
critique.
prescription was natural progression into it, though.
Yeah.
And like Lenin, Stalin, that was forced progression. So
Just like
True communism has never been tried before.
Right, exactly. Well, just like in your own personal life, if somebody has something bad to say about you, whatever their intentions, you should probably listen to them, because they might be telling you something you need to hear. And it's the same thing with postmodernism and communism, right? Maybe you don't go with everything they say, but you gotta damn well listen to them, because they're probably telling you something that's going to save your ass, if you think about it critically and implement it in a way that's for your own well-being and not their motives. And so postmodernism rises from modernism, criticizing the fact that, yes, modernism was, it neglected the colored, the women, the gays, the non-Christians, right? It neglected
people
a whole
below 5'4".
Everybody that fell through the cracks was completely neglected by
You're not
this.
a 5'8" plus white male that owns land, you don't get a part of this.
Right. So
and that needed to be critiqued.
It needed to be. It needed to be. The problem with postmodernism is it was all critique and no solution.
Yeah, no prescription to fix it.
Exactly.
Said the world is based off power. Power is why you make less money than your boss, and did not acknowledge that competence is actually why you worked for your boss, because he could organize a structure where you could make money and he could make money.
Right.
And there's no postmodernism has no solution for that besides worker-owned companies, to where, you know, if I was worked at Taskers and I was trying to order hair products, the company would fail in 1 week, maybe less, maybe
Exactly.
less than.
Yeah. So postmodernism wanted to do away with those grand narratives of the American dream and religion and all of these things. And instead of having one grand overarching narrative of society, they wanted to look at the 1,000,001 ways that life could be viewed, and thought them all as valid.
Okay.
And therefore, because life can be viewed in 1,000,001 ways through 1,000,001 perspectives, the conclusion that postmodernism draws is that it's all meaningless, and there should be no overarching narrative.
The only overarching narrative is power and the preservation
Right.
of.
And that's the jungle, and that is the antithesis of why we have society and why we organize ourselves, and that is precisely opposite of why humans are better than everything else, because we have the power to lift ourselves out of nature and organize ourselves into society and transcend survival of the fittest, because we can do this. And
Even
so,
though it kind of comes back to that, and now especially with the rapidly stratifying world, the rapidly
that's because we're so steeped in this postmodern crap that we've been in since the 1960s.
well, to be a like the vlog that you edited, not everyone can do that. Like if you set a lot of people down for 6 months in a video editing course, they're not going to produce what you just did.
Sure.
I feel like that is what is overlooked. The competence factor is where postmodernism loses me completely, is that it does assume all people are equal, and I think that they are in their rights and the way they should be treated by the government or system as a whole. But to say that Albert Einstein and your best friend from 7th grade are equal in their capability is really ignoring a pivotal part of why America is great.
See, I don't think that's the postmodernist take. I think that is the leftist take. And I want to make that distinction, because the modern 2023 leftist versus the 1965 postmodernist, I don't think are two different
I
things.
totally got y'all on a tangent. I'm sorry. You
did.
But
You did this,
I
by the
know,
way.
I know. I'm like, I literally was like, do not lose your train of thought. But I needed a definition of
Sure.
because I didn't know what it meant.
So to wrap this up, okay, I feel like we've talked about postmodernists enough.
Just Google Jordan
yeah, I'm like,
Peterson if you really want to know.
I do. Okay, I got a definition.
So what I want to do is find out what's beyond postmodernism, because that's where we're at in this country. Postmodernism. And I've been thinking about it, and there's this term that's been coming up, and I've done a little bit of research on it, and they call it metamodernism.
I've heard transhumanism is the next step, but I'm listening.
Okay, so metamodernism, and I am still in my investigative phase of this.
So critique this heavily in the comments.
So tell me exactly how I'm wrong, for real. But
Exactly.
And use curse words also.
yes, I'm an idiot who needs to go read a book. So
That's all the internet's going to say it
yeah,
anyway.
please
so
do.
I read a book.
Yeah, right. So metamodernism, as far as I understand it, seeks to incorporate the critiques, the rightful critiques of postmodernism, while maintaining the baby, so to speak, in the bathwater of modernism, which is the bravery to be audacious, the
dare to
unapologetically sincerity, right? Because in postmodernism, you can't be sincere. You have to be ironic and cynical all the time. Because in a postmodernist world, coming out and being gushy and mushy and having moral sentiment and values and telling a story that's meant to instill morals, it's seen as cringe, right? When's the last time you saw something like that? Like an after-school special. There's that term, that postmodernist term, using after-school special as a derogatory phrase. Oh, that's
Dawson's Creek.
so cringe, right? They're trying to instill morals in me, right? They're trying to tell me, help me live.
All of that is pushed down by
Right.
the patriarchy to
Right.
keep us in place.
Right. And so what metamodernism seeks to achieve is to incorporate the critiques. Yes, we have failed the people on the fringes, but also we need to have a way to be sincere and to be genuine and wholesome in our society. And the reason I bring this up, and I've been on a long tangent, is I want to incorporate that into the media that I create. Tell a story that is not afraid to be wholesome and
Yes.
sincere, not
Yes.
afraid to be genuine, and it doesn't have to be too self-reflective, right?
Yes.
And in the vlog that I made for you guys, and I know we've been mentioning this a lot, but I don't think you have an ounce of irony in there. There's not an ounce of sarcasm. Maybe a
always
little
genuine.
bit sarcasm that might serve a purpose just for a punchline.
The first line of this vlog, by the way, is she's about to kill this whore.
She's about to kill this whore.
Yes.
and
That's a hook just to get people to watch. But anyways,
and what
Like,
do,
what is going
and
on
what do
here?
we don't do?
Yeah,
and what we
right.
don't do.
right. So there's just so much a yearning for meaning, and people are sick and tired of being cynical, of sincerity. People are sick and tired of not being able to be wholesome, and you can see it budding in our meme culture, right? There was this meme that I sent you the other day. It was like, what was it? Ha ha ha, your friends only love you because you bring a light into their life. Ha ha. They only hang around with you because every second with you is joy. Oh my God. And that's that sort of,
Cringe as fuck.
that's that meta modern sincerity delivered in the package of irony and sarcasm.
Yes.
But the difference is it's not irony and sarcasm just for sarcasm's sake. It's using that as a way to sort of softball that wholesome sincerity into the situation that's so palatable
To
to
highlight
these
the
people.
absurdity of that train of thought also.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I have to pee real quick. If we all put our hands up like this and then we do it before we start, then we can cut. Welcome back. We all peed. So now what I'd like to get into, just some things that we fucking have done recently. Gaza Stock 2. That was a fucking fun thing that we got a lot of content out of that I haven't posted yet. I was waiting to see what Tyler did. I don't really know if you were going to post it or... So I've just been like hovering around on it. But what a fucking event,
Yeah,
dude. What a
dude.
turnout.
Gaza Stock has turned out to be so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
That I am it's one of the things, the more than carpet things that I'm
Yes.
super excited about being here.
And that's what I was referring to earlier, talking about like this little, or I'm not even going to say little, that's a bad habit. This group of artists that are forming in this community, and it's just so talented. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Just getting to witness it.
Right. And this concert series that he's got going on, fantastic. We need something like that.
I
Yep.
offered to open up for RJ. Me and Gazaway, I showed Kate these messages over a year ago. He messaged me and said, hey, I have the RCW building. I have monitors. I have all the stuff we need to do to put on a show. What do you think about it? And I said, yeah, fucking run it. I'll do it. If you'll let me do it, I'll do it. Been looking for a venue. He said, okay. He messaged me like 8 months later and said, I have RJ playing on this date. We're going to fucking do this. I said, okay. He said, what do you think about the name Gaza Stock? I think it's a little self-centered. I said, bro, if you just do it, no one will fucking question that
Nope.
shit
Yeah.
at all. They will
Oh, no.
just
I
agree
didn't
to
question it at all.
I said I would love to open for RJ. I've been big fans of them for a long time. I love all those guys. He said, we're not going to have you open. He was like, we'll probably do the RJ show and then at that show promote your show.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I'm going to be...
He wanted you to be a headliner.
Yeah, which was kind of like... I still feel like a very... just not that in my own head when I'm going to bed at night. And then Nick opening up for me, which was like, I've paid money to go watch Nick play before.
Yeah.
So that was like and this is my second show, and he's played 1,000,000 times. It's a kind of I don't know, a weird, not a humbling moment, but like
You're not taking that compliment.
It was just an affirmation, I think. It was an affirmation that I was further than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
a
crazy.
good feeling.
And you never know how far you are until you start helping people who are just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can think back of like all the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have that you didn't really consolidate in your memory. And you
Mm-hmm.
think, whoa, actually.
Yes.
Wow.
Like when I was there. Yeah, I can relate to that and just in my career and stuff and helping like new people into the industry and stuff. And I'm like, let me give you a little bit of knowledge. And I feel like when I tell them too, I'm like, you don't have to listen to me. You probably think I know nothing, but I'm like, but if you just listen to me, like
Yeah.
I've been there.
The mistakes I've made, you
Yeah.
are about to make.
Yes.
'Cause you
Yeah.
have to.
Yes.
But you could avoid them if you just listen.
And bringing it back to Gaza Stock, they're doing an interview series. Sarah Wilson,
Yes.
shout out, is producing
Yes,
these interviews.
love it.
And I've been helping her kind of decide on some equipment and some techniques and things. I filmed the last set of interviews for her. And I think she's going to be a big part of this sort of cultural
Good.
I know. I love
innovation
it. I
that
think
we've
it's
got going.
great.
She's so personable.
She is.
She's so
And she
easy to talk
cares.
to.
And she wants to do it. And she's
And
excited.
She cares.
Yeah.
She gives a fuck.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. People there's a lot of people who fail because they're in it for the clout, right? They think, I want to be a famous YouTuber or whatever. I want to be. They want the status. They don't want to put in the work. And Cher is one of those people that I think will put in the work. Isn't in it for the status.
Did you say share?
I said Shara, but I was hoping nobody would catch it,
But
and
now
you did.
you pointed out and burp. And if you don't quit hitting this table or that, like Jesus.
When Sarah told me that she was doing this interview series, I asked her what she was using. And she was like, I don't really know. We're just going to figure it out. And yeah, not to fucking pat on the head Beauty and the Freak podcast, but I was like, dude, we have all the stuff and it's so movable. It's like we'll fit in one small box and
Two, but yes, it's so movable.
one small box and one medium-sized box, if we're being honest, just to avoid the criticism of my co-host, the beautiful and talented Katie B. Yeah, but I was happy to see her wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she wasn't asking for a paycheck.
Fuck no.
Oh, hell no.
And the
Yeah.
interview she did with me was so awesome. I heard that the post, she asked me those questions, that she had made a post and hid only me from it so that other people could ask questions.
Oh
on
my
that.
God, he was so mad at me because I tried so hard to like keep a secret, and which
No.
no, wait, let me defend myself. Which
Before I grill you.
No, which I'm a hairdresser, so let it be known I'm very good at. People can tell me things and I'm not going to say it again. But I think I was so excited for this project that I was like, oh, I wish I didn't know this information.
We were in
like,
here filming. She said, no, I was back there playing guitar.
yeah, and I
she
said,
I have a secret to tell you, but I can't tell you.
No, I said, I know something you don't know and I can't
I know
tell you.
something
That's
you
what I
don't
said.
know.
I said, I know something you don't know. And he was like, I mean, he almost got mad at me.
At this point, but it's the drunkest
Got
I've
mad
been
at
in a year,
me,
by the
thought
way.
it was like something bad, and so then I had to read it, and I'm like, no, it's not
Thought she was
anything
gonna tell me she had
bad.
herpes or something.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh my God.
Anyways,
We'll cut that.
so I was like, he was like, almost, shut up. He almost got mad at me, and I was like, no, wait, I'm just so excited about it. And he was like, fucking tell me. And I was like, if I tell you, it will ruin it. Like,
Yeah.
it will ruin it. And I didn't
Then why'd
tell
you bring it
him
up?
because I don't know.
Just brimming with
Yeah,
excitement.
I was. Like, I knew it, and we were commenting, and everybody was commenting, and I was just like, in the room with them, and I was like sitting here holding myself like, oh my God, I want to say something so bad. And I word vomited I know something you don't know. And he was
I got
like,
mad.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
I went
honestly,
to bed early.
Yeah. That is frustrating. Is like, just why did you even say that?
I know. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, fuck. Why did I say it? Why did I say it? And then I knew then, like, you cannot give in and tell him.
The questions were good, though. The people that asked the questions, they were super good.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever asked, what was your favorite hooker?
Yes.
What an inspiring question to ask, because out of all the options I had to give, I think I gave the wrong answer. I said the Portuguese hooker, but really,
did.
Anne from Anne Spa in Virginia Beach, she's not really a hooker. She's a massage artist with hands that have been covered in massage oil for 54 years. I mean, they're soft as a pile of baby ducks.
54
I don't know, there was-
years.
She was about 65, I'd say.
Oh my goodness.
She had triceps like an NFL linebacker and hands like a newborn baby. I mean, she did over-under technique. She
Lord.
did over. At one point,
Over.
I need you to see. She did Kamehameha technique, or she grabbed
what?
me and popped one in the south hole and did a simultaneous jerk. And I've never in my life expelled more baby gravy than that. And that's what I really should
my
have said during
God.
that interview. But I did give credit to the foursome I had in Portugal.
I'm horrified right now.
Yeah. Well, I kind of was when it was happening until.
Well, you had a running vote on the Facebook comments, and I haven't heard you talk about this one at all. Somebody said something about the Florida one. There was a Florida one, or am I wrong? Am I remembering
Prostitute?
this wrong? Now I want to pull up the
No,
post.
I dated a prostitute that now lives in Florida. Everything reminds me of her, but I've never prostituted in Florida.
Wow.
Now I need to find the post. I'm pretty sure somebody said
I'm
a
hidden
Florida
from-
one.
Back to Gaza stock real
Okay,
quick.
yeah.
Right.
Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The camera setups that you had on both sides and then
Yeah.
kind of moving with the
Of the show.
HDLR, is
It was a mirrorless camera, but yeah.
mirrorless?
Handheld camera.
Means nothing to me. I have no idea.
Yeah,
what that
I'm like,
means.
what is mirrorless?
It looks so good. I broke my foot, and I knew I had to put a lot more energy and stress into the maintaining the attention of the crowd because I was not mobile. You did such a fucking good job of encapsulating that show. Like, I did all the work on the front end as far as practicing and going over the mannerisms and doing the stuff.
Just you? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm
just
trying.
kidding.
I'm trying to
It was
be.
just me and Ryan Scoggins. Me and Ryan Scoggins did the majority of this work.
I'm trying to
And
be
Ryan
a
Scoggins
cunt.
headlined the night.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
trying to be a cunt and throw that in there because I like to
If
give you a hard
if you know,
time
you
about
know.
taking all the spotlight.
I
It's
could have
fine.
never practiced
You
this
won-
much had Kate
you-
not DD'd me for the previous 3 weeks.
Yes,
Facts.
but also you 1,000%
And moral
deserve
support.
that spotlight.
Yeah, that video where I took the giant dab and just decided Ryan Scoggins was headlining the show instead of me. And then I go do sound check, and I forgot the lyrics to my own song, the cover song that I did. And Gazaway looked at me as we walked off the stage and was like, bro, why are you this fucked up? I tried to explain to him, I'm just high. I'm not that drunk or anything else.
I was going around asking everybody. I was like, "Who the fuck gave him that?" Like,
JJ, dude, he handed me a dab pen. He didn't tell me it was like a $70 live resin dab pen from California. I thought, regular dab pen. I hit it. My life changed. I was in the
Yeah.
7th dimension for about an hour.
God,
yeah.
you came back though. You came
I
back.
did. I
You
know
came
it.
You
back
came.
and
Yeah.
gave a good show.
During that
Yeah.
show, I like to think that it was not a concert, that it was a show, because there was a little comedy. There was a little bit of just, I got a call in the middle
Yeah, I was
of
gonna
it.
say the pause of
yeah.
the show.
But
You
it-
got a phone call.
But I've never claimed to know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And people have always been very supportive of that, honestly. And
Yeah.
so just the capturing of those moments, man, damn, that meant so much to me.
I think the
because-
videos did turn out great.
because I put so much pre-effort into it, the fact that it was chronicled and chronicled well, that meant so much, dude. It really did.
Yeah, and that's just what I'm trying to. It's really what my aim is for this business that I'm creating.
I touched a lot of people like that. Well, I reached a lot of people through that
Words.
through the content that I got from what you did for me there. That show very easily without you there could have been a great show that all 87 people there remembered.
Yeah.
But there was nothing to spread for it. And I've had like videos and posts from that show with 4,000 impressions, 100 reactions. Like, it's really gotten a lot out there because of you.
Well, video is storytelling, right?
Absolutely.
And people want more than anything a story to tell, and that ties back again to this particular area. And I know there's probably a lot of areas in this world that are like this, but I want to focus on our area.
Yeah, fuck them.
Is because we want a story to be able to tell, right? I know people that when they go travel abroad and people ask them where they're from, they'll say, "Oh, I'm from Atlanta. I'm from Chattanooga." Because when you say I'm from Dalton, what's that? And what do you say? When somebody asks you, where are you from? And you say, I'm from Dalton. And they say, where's that?
That's the carpet
It's the
capital.
carpet
It's the
capital.
carpet capital of the world.
And then they go, oh, okay.
That's not hot.
Yeah.
It's not sexy.
No.
And there's nothing about it. There is. I mean, it is.
No.
But it's not like, engaging.
This is a fact. It's boring.
It's boring.
You make carpet.
Yeah. It's sustainable.
People know what you're saying when
lifts
you
out of
say that,
yeah.
but they don't care. They're like,
Right.
oh.
And so to be able to tell a story through video and audio and pictures of what we're doing here, that is what's going to create that's what's going to be able to alleviate people of the shame of admitting they're from Dalton, Georgia.
And that's what your curation does so well, I will say, is that you took, like with the Kimber fight, you took 7 hours of raw footage and boiled that down to the story of what we were doing. Even the high points of us being in the car and bullshitting, listening to the Megan Thee Stallion song about being addicted to popping Plan Bs because she's an immoral whore.
What?
Don't call girls whores. Don't call girls whores. Don't call girls whores. Ladies of ill repute. Yeah, it was so good, dude. It was so much better than I could have expected it to be.
Well, there's so many stories like that just aren't told.
That's a fact.
There's so many. Every day people live lives that are worth telling, but they don't know how to articulate it. Or there's no one around to show it. And there's people out here doing great things that just need someone there to put it together and to tell it for them. And that's really what I want to do.
And it's like a multiplier almost. It's like their effort is a 9 or a 10, and then their effort can be distributed X3, X10, X20 via the storytelling aspect that comes from not only the capturing of key moments of like events, but also the curation in the narrative order that tells a story.
Yeah.
Which is something that is not to just gas you because you're on our fucking podcast or you do free shit for me all the time, but you're so fucking good at the narrative aspect of like, this is the flow of the story of the evening.
Well, I've said, and not to like make it sound conceited or anything, but I know like we've had this conversation about just our everyday life, and we've said if we just had like a camera following us around, we feel like the different things that like we do or the like routes that we've taken to try to make it or do something else, like it is a story, and we feel like it's a story that people would be interested in. But it's how do you tell that story and get it out there? And yeah, I mean, I'm like,
I've tried music. We've tried this.
You are definitely,
But the vlog curation,
you definitely have it.
is a different level of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I want to say, you say I've tried music, I've tried this. That all plays a part.
It does.
And I'm still doing all
It
of those
does.
things.
That
And
all
they
plays a
do
part.
tell a story.
Yeah,
And they
well,
do
and
inspire people
that's
to
what,
see it.
and that's
I
part of,
recognize that.
and that's part of what I'm saying by what we do every day, and you know the routes that we take to do it and to make something, and you know whatever, and it is a story, and it's not always a pretty story at all, and people want to see that.
Yeah. They want the
Oh, they
genuineness.
love
Yes,
the ugly.
yes.
People love the ugly.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. The whole criticism of Instagram, right? People only posting their highlights. People want to see. There's a yearning for the ugly, the real, and the visceral.
People are scared.
And I am a case study for that. I will throw
People
myself
are
out
scared to put it out there like that. I was one of
The
those.
ugly.
I've been in a period of my life where I openly admitted it afterwards, was I had a completely different home life that I kept behind closed doors, and I used to say it by I lied to everybody, but I was also lying to myself,
Yeah.
because I thought that that's what I was supposed to do.
And here's the part that's so hard about that, though, is when it's show business, right? When you're putting things out on
showbiz, baby.
it's showbiz, baby. When you're putting things out there for social media, and people want to show their vulnerability, their mundane, the ugliness, but the part that you have to keep in mind is it has to serve the story. It has to serve when you tell your story. Is it a tragedy or is it the times that you were dancing, right? And
Shout out me.
And I think about that line a lot. I really do.
Thank you so much.
I
It's one of
love-
the
I
first
love
lines
that
that
line.
came to me before I wrote that song.
I think about that a lot, and I read more into it, perhaps more than what you intended, but because at a surface level, you think when you tell your story, are you only telling the good parts, the times that you were dancing. But I honestly think of it as a challenge. When you tell your story, are you going to tell the tragedy, or are you going to tell the times that you were dancing, and why? Because the tragedy, for tragedy's sake, is that postmodern nihilism that we need to get away from.
Nothing means anything.
But when you want to show the humanness, the mundane, the tragedy, what is it in service to? And that's the meta-modernism that I think we need to move forward to into the future, to get back to having some sort of grand narrative. There needs to be some sort of something to strive for, to be an antidote to this crisis of meaning that we have in this country, right? When
it's way easier to say nothing means anything, and that no matter what you do, you die, and it'll be forgotten in 200 years. Though.
Okay.
That's way easier.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so
You've
correct
abdicated all
me.
responsibility at that point, and nothing's your fault, and you're just going to wither away into
It's
nothing.
just meaningless anyway.
Correct me if
So
I'm
you have a great
wrong.
job.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like in saying that, to sum it up, it's kind of like you tell the story of the tragedy for like why you're dancing. Like,
Could be for why you're dancing, for why you could be dancing.
To me,
Okay.
when I
What
wrote-
does the tragedy mean?
When I wrote that
Yeah.
line, it was that everybody's life is beset on all sides by tragedy. And there are in all of our lives very few times where we are dancing and having the greatest time and everything is good. And so when you tell your story and reflect back to other people, are you that person in the room that says, oh, well, I didn't do this because of this, this, and this? Or are you saying, this time I was here and I was doing this and this was so fun and it made me full of life? It was just like the take that you approach life with when I wrote the line was, everybody has a tragedy to tell. You have a sob story, you have a sob story, I have a sob story. If we so choose to curate the story in that way, or when I talk to you and meet you, are you going to tell me about, the happiest times of your life? Are you going to infuse that energy into the conversation or the room or the community or, any zoomed in or zoomed out version of that?
What does it mean, right?
Yeah.
And what does it mean that's good? It's the biggest thing. Why are we here? Just to get rid of the nihilism and then the cynicism, I think that's going to be the great task of the 21st century moving forward, is to move past this hyper relativist, everybody's got their own opinion, there's a million and one ways to view things, and therefore it all means nothing, because who are you to say that this is how
Who says the truth?
Who says the truth? Well, we all say the
Who
truth.
mandates it, though?
There's no mandating, and that's meta-modern. That is the postmodern. Is the modernism and the traditionalism was a mandated top-down truth. This is it. It comes from God. It comes from the American ideals. The postmodernists, they criticized that and said, no, that's not the way. And they were correct, because that's not the way. But what they don't realize is that rather than having no truth,
Which is what postmodernists think. There's no truth.
There's no truth because
Truth
there's
is
a million.
dictated by power.
Yeah, whoever is the strongest, that's who decides the truth.
Yes.
And that's incorrect.
yeah.
It's a negotiated truth. Just like your identity is negotiated in this world. If you wanted to accuse me of being a Jordan B. Petersonite earlier. And I do think that's
too.
I mean, I could go on a Jordan B. Peterson tangent, but we're already, however long into this podcast. But just suffice to
That's
say,
for another one.
that's for round 2.
Me and Carl have actually filmed 2 or 3 full episodes of basically AI watches 10,000 hours of Jordan Peterson and talks to itself for an hour.
Well, if we want, just to be quick about it, though, if you wanted to talk about identity and what the truth is and what a story is, they say that your identity is negotiated into reality, and that.
Never mind. It's recording. I thought it wasn't recording.
Sure.
Into reality. Back. Sorry,
negotiated into reality. And so that you say you're a straight white man, and people validate that with you. They check you. They observe your behavior. They see how you dress, react, or act and behave. And they also reflect that back to you, because the postmodernists got it right. Their society culture is a fabrication. But that doesn't mean that because it's a fabrication, it's useless.
It's not real.
It's a useful fabrication, and it's hyper real because it allows us to navigate the complexities of life and survival in a way that is of a higher order than the base animals, than a badger.
In a world that is rapidly becoming more complex.
Exactly.
As well.
We need nuanced solutions for complex problems, and that is this matrix, right? That's the matrix. That's the fabricated Right. That's the fabricated thing that we've created. That, gender is a construct. Yeah, it's a construct, but it's a construct that works. A hammer is a construct, but it drives the nail into the wood. Yes. That's the exact reason why we have these things. And the postmodernists fail to realize that these things are useful. While can they be expanded? Yes. Can we have more room for leniency and tolerance for people who don't fit into these molds? Yes. And that is the meta-modern. And there is a need for a discussion for it to have some sort of narrative that is unifying, while maybe not as grand as the American dream, the American tradition that the modernists put forth, but something needs to be unified. And I think the symptom of this is the presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. When he announced his presidency, have you guys know? So he's I think a second generation Indian. He's running as a Republican.
We're going to put the worst picture of him we can find on the internet right here.
Vivek Ramaswamy. And one of the things that got me interested in him, while I don't do party politics really well, I mean, he's a Republican, but he said when he announced his campaign, he wants to answer the question, what does it mean to be an American? And I think that's such a good question to ask.
As not a cis white man.
Right. Because he is not.
He's not.
He is a second generation Indian man.
You don't have to hate America just because you're not that either.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be ashamed to fly the American flag because you're not, 35-year-old white man with 2 kids and a white picket fence. Mm-hmm. You can be proud of who you are, but we need to figure out what that means. Mm-hmm. Again, because we thought what it meant to be an American. In the 1940s,
right.
50s.
Again.
We need to rethink that and redefine what it means to be an American. And I think that is a symptom of the budding meta-modern narrative that is taking shape in this culture, that has begun to take shape.
What a big part Jordan B. Peterson has played in that. What a big part Lex Friedman has played in that. Mm-hmm. What, love him or hate him, Joe Rogan, as well as just bringing these counterpoints that are not the mainstream global narrative. Who's the other? Sam Harris.
Sam Harris.
As hard as he is for me to watch.
I think Sam Harris is probably more postmodern than...
Do you really think? I think he's a cuck, and I think that yoga is bullshit. Fuck you, Sam Harris.
The problem with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, I've got problems with both of them.
You watched that debate, right?
I've watched, yeah.
Where they debated on what is means for like fucking 40 minutes?
It depends on what you mean by truth, right?
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by truth.
Yeah, I watched that several times. That was Jordan Peterson that asked that question.
But I wish Lex Friedman would have moderated that so he could have pulled Jordan back in.
Yeah. Jordan did have a little bit too much free reign there. And the guy is, he can bloviate. He really can, and is drowned.
We're going to put the definition of bloviate up here, and I will learn what it is as soon as I read it.
Sure. So, I mean, there's no one that's watched more Jordan Peterson. I don't say no one.
I was about to ad-lib that.
Hardly anybody has watched more Jordan Peterson on YouTube than I have. I've watched hundreds of hours of his.
I got to say, I'm up there with you.
You probably are. I mean,
he changed my life.
I've learned a lot, but at the same point, I feel like I am. Especially since he's joined the Daily Wire, I feel like I'm at the point where you realize you're a kid and you hit puberty and you're stronger than your dad, or you feel like, okay, maybe I can take you on, dude. Because
when you poke your chest out,
you poke your chest out a little bit, and you realize, wait, I'm taller than you. I'm taller than you.
And you work for Ben Shapiro, who is a for sure Jew cut. We're gonna cut that for sure.
He's become super dogmatic, and I don't know if this is just a show that he's putting on, but I feel like it's becoming increasingly difficult to watch his podcast.
I agree.
Because of how just predictable he's become and how little nuance there is left in his arguments.
Originally, he was the opposite of that. Everything that was mainstream and expected is not what he said.
Yeah.
He gave people the power to make their own decisions and to clean your room and then tell us how to organize the world. Well, I loved that. That was so counterculture.
Yeah.
And now the culture is kind of aligned with him, and there's no...
No, he's a drummer boy at this point. And I swear.
Boo.
Dude, I say this because I've watched so much. I was a hardcore Jordan Petersonite. And I say this with love. I think the highest point in his career, the last peak he had is when he had this friend on, this super left-leaning friend that he had on his show that was there just to check him on everything. And I think he had that. And I think after that episode released, it just went downhill from there because maybe he felt like he had his moment where he reconciled or he maybe admitted that he wasn't completely in the zeitgeist or he wasn't completely... he hasn't sold out yet. Maybe that was his way of trying to say he's not completely daily wired. But ever since then, I don't see a version of Jordan Peterson that isn't tainted by Ben Shapiro.
And I loved Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro
2017, I
Ben
said
Shapiro
I will
was
vote
great.
for him for president in 2024.
Yeah.
Because I thought he would run. He would have been old enough. But Ben Shapiro is like a macrocosm of what Jordan Peterson has done, as to where his constituents wanted to believe this thing, and they got behind very few sentiments that he pushed forward, and that became his persona. Well, I just think that weed is not correct for people to smoke because it alters your state of consciousness. Like, dude, shut up, you Jew cuck. And now Jordan Peterson has that huge push behind. He has 100 points, which are all equally valid. 7 of them are being pushed by this like Reddit culture, which is, they're right about a lot of stuff, but they're right in a way that makes them seem like better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it's now Jordan has kind of leaned into pushing the points that they want him to push. Even he does believe those points. I don't think he lies about what he thinks, but it feels like it's in line with analytics.
Yeah, he's pandering a bit.
Bam, he's
pandering a bit. And since he's joined the Daily Wire, I don't think maybe he wasn't profitable enough, because he joined the Daily Wire. And one of the things he said when he first started up is, people are going to ask me if I'm, going to sell my soul. They're going to allow me to, have financial, freedom to do what I want to do and all this stuff. But you can taste the influence there, and it's a sour taste, and it's a phase much like the benzo addiction. I hope he gets over the Daily Wire addiction.
Benzo Peterson was my favorite Peterson, though, by the way. And the no anxiety Jordan Peterson, if you'll watch, you can tell when he's strung out on Xanaxes, because he's not playing with his engagement ring.
Yeah.
When he's not Xanned, his engagement ring never stays in the same place. He would walk he did these speaking tours where he's selling out arenas like Conor McGregor did. 80 grand, 100 grand at profit per speech, 1 hour, and his wedding ring never stops moving. But then Zan Peterson is so much more...
But he was fucked, though.
Like, fucked up?
Well, just physically, mentally fucked.
Oh, no, he was completely gone. Yeah. He was slowly dying in front of us.
Yeah.
You see him losing weight and just, becoming more decrepit.
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess to wrap up my thoughts on Jordan Peterson, he played a very influential part of coming out of a hyper-leftist, postmodernist, nihilistic viewpoint. But at this point, I think I've sailed the boat to the other side of the river, and it's time to leave the boat at the shore.
Yeah, I'm not a postmodernist anymore.
Exactly, and thank you for that. But I'm not going to pick up the boat and carry it. I'm going to leave the boat.
Taklamakan Desert.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the boat at the dock where it belongs. And anybody else who wants to watch the Daily Wire and set up camp at the dock is welcome to. But I'm on to greener pastures. I'm going to thank the boat for taking me where it did. But the true mark of enlightenment is moving on.
I unfollowed the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Hey, so Carl, you have recently founded the LLC, Carl Southern Media.
2 hours into the podcast, we get to it.
Listen.
I'm just kidding.
Carl Southern Media.
I have learned so many things.
Oh, yeah. We got some YouTube research to put you on, by the way.
Yes, that's literally what I was thinking. I needed to go home and read a book.
You did cover Gaza Stock 1. You did the footage for that. The footage for Gaza Stock 2 was fucking unreal. You want to talk about a portfolio. A lot of the people who are watching this podcast will have seen the Kimber Dunn vlog before they watch this. I will put it out probably the day before.
And if you haven't, you need to watch it now.
Yeah, and it will be linked. It'll be the first link in the description underneath this. We're going to release it as a YouTube video on its own. But how can people reach you if they want this service? When they see it, a lot of people are going to say, God damn, I wish somebody would follow me around like this and tell the narrative story of what I'm doing. How can they reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me in many ways. There's my Instagram at Carl Southern Media Official. I've got a Facebook page, Carl Southern Media. You can send me an email, carl@carlsouthernmedia.com. Business phone, 706-888-9424.
These are all linked in the description. If you go down here and look, they're in the order that he just said them.
Yeah. It's really whatever you want to do. I mean, any of those is great.
Contact Beauty and the Freak Podcast. Hit me up on Facebook, Edward Eaker, Katie Brogdon, Katie B, and we can put you in contact as well.
Yeah. And just send me an email what you're wanting to do. We'll talk prices. And really the biggest thing I want to know is, what are you trying to achieve? I'm not saying I'm going to be too picky, but I'm really looking to highlight some great stories for people who are trying to achieve great things. I've only got so many hours in the day, and I'd rather help somebody who is really looking to put Dalton on the map, Chatsworth, Whitfield, Murray on the map.
I'm going to touch on like what I talked to you about the other day. Like eventually when I get some more things settled here, I want you to come in and do a video. But you have inspired me more, like not just highlighting like what we do here in that video, but the story of why we're here.
Yeah.
And all of that. And I love that. I'm like,
sure there's a fantastic
that
story.
100% is credited to you and wanting to tell the story. And I'm like, there is a story behind it. But I wouldn't have thought of telling that story in the video of, you know, showcasing everybody here and what we do. But it's a part of it.
I want to hear it.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes. I'm excited to tell it.
If you're interested in the cliff notes of it, episode 3, Beauty and the Freak podcast, The Rise of KDB. That's not actually the name, but it's kind of the overall construct. That is the drunkest I've ever been on camera, and I'm a little embarrassed that anybody has ever seen that episode.
Honestly, I'm going to say this now, and it may not be appropriate.
God damn it.
But it kind of makes me, like, the more that we've done these episodes and the more that, like, our network has grown, I kind of want to redo that. Not redo it, but, like, be more transparent in my story of my, you know, business career and what all has happened in it, and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Like we were saying, how we have rubbed off on each other so much.
Yes.
I have not been in public 3 times in the past 2 years before I met Kate. And now I've done so much better at networking, and it's basically forced where it's like, hey, dude, you're really talented. Go out and let people tell you how cool you are. And I'm like, no, I want to put the blanket over my head and watch YouTube.
And where now I have a leverage with your foot where I'm like, all right, I'm going to come pick you up. Like
when the cast becomes a crutch.
Yes.
Anyways.
I'm like, but it gave me, I'm like, all right, well, I'll be at your house in 20 minutes. Like,
but
be
in the
ready.
same way, I've definitely rubbed off on you in that you are so much more transparent now. When we told that episode, or when we did that episode, Kate was telling like her story of going from, you know, like Hamilton Street in that shop.
I don't even feel like I touched much.
Well,
I did not touch much on that.
It was the PC version.
Yeah. And I'm like, but I can be so more transparent.
We hang out a few days later. She tells me a version of the story that is so much more cool and interesting than that one.
I was ready to get out. Do you remember this? I was ready to get out a whiteboard and do a timeline for them.
We were going to write down off the top, and then we were going to branch off from there.
Okay.
We're going to cut that.
No.
No, fuck
you
that
can
guy
bleep
for
the
real.
name. You're not cutting it. I'm not going to let you. You can bleep the name. But yeah.
Way more interesting. Way more drama. Cut friends against friends, like stabbing each other in the back.
I think you called me a cowboy.
Yeah.
Was that what you said? You were like, you're
a desperado?
something.
I can't remember specifically.
But
you were wearing a cowgirl hat at the time. I remember.
Was I? No,
it was
it
pink
wasn't.
and bedazzled.
Oh, it
You had
wasn't.
those assless chaps on?
No,
I'm making all of this up. I really wish that I wasn't. I
Okay.
hope that in the edit we panned on Carl's face
Okay.
right there.
Bring it back.
All right,
bring
we're
it
gonna
back.
Hey, well, Carl, thanks so much for coming
Thank
out
you,
to join
thank
us, dude.
you.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
all that
having
you've
me.
done for me and us collectively.
It's been super fun.
Fucking
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yes.
Be sure you subscribe to our channel, Beauty and the Freak Podcast. Like this video. If you have any thoughts in your head, which I know most of our viewers don't, just kidding, we love you. Comment them down below, man. I love to shit on our viewers, and
I
they love it
know.
too for some
Okay.
reason. It's a masochist thing. They're attracted to it. Yeah, comment down below, literally anything. Hit up Carl for all of your video production needs. This has been Beauty and the Freak Podcast with Carl of Carl Southern Media, my co-host, the beautiful and talented Katie B, and me, Ed. And cut.